We acknowledge that Tri-Cities Community Television operates on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them along with the waters and all that is above and below.
Hi, it's Cathy Cena with Tri-Cities Community TV, and we would like to thank the Coquitlam Library for donating their space to us today. And as we continue our interviews for the federal election with the Tri-City candidates, today with me is Paul Lambert, who is running for the Conservative Party in the riding of Port Moody and Coquitlam. Welcome to the program. And I'm just going to ask you right off the bat, Paul, please tell us why people should vote for you.
Yeah, thank you, Cathy. Thank you. So as her lovely introduction said, Paul Lambert running for Port Moody, Coquitlam. Important to note that includes Anmore and Belcarra as well. I really think the key point in this election is change, but not just change for change's sake. We need a change of direction in the country. So we've had the previous government, the Liberal government, for 4 years. Then it was a Liberal NDP joint government for 6 years. So we're at 9.5 years, and the challenges in our country have built over time, over those 9.5 years. We really did live in a different country 9.5 years ago, and so we really need a change of direction, not just in leadership. The Liberals obviously have a new leader. We need to change a mindset, policy, and the entire party. So I represent that change for us here at the local level. That's that vote for true change. And then also on a very local level, I'm one of the most local candidates any federal party has run in our riding for a long time. So I've lived my entire life, almost 40 years, within our current riding boundaries. For a lot of voters, it's important to have a very local candidate. So 40 years in the riding. I grew up in Port Moody. Now I live in Coquitlam with my family. So that's a key point for a lot of voters as well. So a vote for Paul Lambert is a true vote for real change, not change for change's sake, but a real change of direction for our country, different and better policies. And you could not have a more local candidate if you cast that vote for me.
So what does civic leadership mean to you, Paul, and how does it play out in your role should you become the member of parliament representing your riding?
So it's funny, I get a lot of questions that are different levels of government. When you say civic, do you mean at the city level, or you just mean in general?
The city level.
Okay. So yeah, you'll get a lot of questions when you're running at the federal level that might be provincial or city jurisdiction. So I really believe in leadership. So you'll see some politicians dodge the question or say, oh, that's another level of government, I can't do that. I'm not like that. So if there's something within our riding that matters, you will see me advocate for it and problem solve on it. And I'll do that obviously collaboratively with our provincial and city officials. But I think it's something that might actually separate me a little bit. You know how politicians can be. I'm really trying to do it differently. So anything that matters, whether it's city or provincial, you will see me take a leadership role and advocate for that. So a couple examples I'd give. If you sit down and really say, what is our key needs locally in the riding? For me, number one is Eagle Ridge Hospital. So our population growth has been very significant in the Tri-Cities. So if we just need to increase the size of Eagle Ridge Hospital, but also the scope. So not everyone knows Eagle Ridge Hospital is not a full service hospital, and that is not a criticism by any means against the hospital or the staff. It's just not set up for a variety of services. So I'm going to advocate to increase the size and scope. I'm going to work to bring federal funding to partner with the province. It's imperative that we increase the size and scope of Eagle Ridge Hospital. The question is when it will be done. So I'm going to push for it to be done sooner rather than later. Other keys are infrastructure projects in the riding. So I'll be pushing to bring federal funding in conjunction with the province and our cities. Road congestion is a huge challenge. I was 5 minutes late for our interview because of road congestion on St. John's and Barnett and Lougheed. So there's key infrastructure projects that I'm going to push for, and I can't make any promises yet on a certain one, but I'm really going to push for. So we need a new overpass from Clark to Murray on the back street of Port Moody. We need a new bridge approaching Ioko Road, one of the biggest bottlenecks in the Tri-Cities. So those are real, and that's just not for Port Moody, that serves the entire Tri-Cities. So key infrastructure projects that I'll push for as well.
How will you collaborate? You touched a little bit on it in your last question, but how will you collaborate with municipal and provincial leaders in the Tri-Cities to meet the community's needs effectively?
So I'm fortunate. I just love people. So I'm lucky. I already have great relationships with our sitting MLAs and our sitting councillors and mayors. So almost all of them, I have a very great personal relationship already. And so that is the foundation of any collaboration. And I really think that's another key that kind of sets me apart. One of the, I say this very humbly, one of the nicest things someone said about me in the last while is that, Paul's always going to stick to his principles. You're not going to push him around, but somehow after it, you're still friends. And so I really believe in that. And I think that's a great part of being Canadian and our culture in the Tri-Cities as well. So I really want to bring that back because true collaboration comes from genuine respect for other people, whether you're on the same political team or have the same opinion on that given issue. So genuine respect and building those personal relationships. And it's amazing what we can do if we all have that mindset. So I'm ready to hit the ground running, working with both city councils, Coquitlam, Port Moody, and Warren-Belcara, as well as the provincial government. I have those relationships, and I'm really excited to get things done because sometimes you need to do that in a nonpartisan manner. And I'm in a great position to do that.
Okay, affordable housing. We've been hearing all over, British Columbia about affordable housing. It continues to be a major concern. What steps will you take at the federal level to support housing solutions in our region?
Yeah. So housing, I really think domestically, it might be our most difficult problem to solve. So our housing crisis really really got bad in 2015. And it's been getting worse ever since. So we have tried countless policies at the city and federal levels, and they've all focused on increasing supply. So we've increased housing supply in the Lower Mainland, in Coquitlam very significantly. Unfortunately, prices have not come down. So it's good that we're building the supply, but clearly that's not the end of the story. So my background's in economics. Was my first kind of passion as a young person. So I have a degree in economics, and we're not looking at the supply and demand, right? We just talk about supply in the housing issue and debate. So the key is we need to reduce demand for housing as well. So this is one of the real key policies that separates the Conservative Party of Canada from the Liberals and the NDP. We are going to have immigration reform. I need to be very clear on this. So myself personally, and our party is pro-immigration, but the number of people we welcome to the country each year is paramount, right? Whether that's 250,000 or 1,250,000, that's a massive difference. And so under the Liberal Party and then in conjunction with the NDP, we've seen our immigration numbers first double, then triple. And it's just been too much for the housing sector and also for healthcare. So on housing, the key policy that separates the Conservative Party of Canada from the Liberals and NDP is we will have compassionate, respectful, but significant immigration reform. And what's great is the system will become much more efficient as well. So the irony is the voters I talk to that are most passionate about immigration reform are actually recent immigrants because they've been through the system, and things that should take weeks take months in terms of processing time. Things that should take months takes years. I've talked to voters who are literally waiting several years on their pathway to citizenship, and they're incredibly frustrated. So we're going to reform the system, and we're going to be very specific about it. Key thing I always hear is, okay, we really want to hear your specific policy. So our leader, Pierre Poilievre, spelled it out perfectly. So we're going to look at housing starts for the previous year. So say we're in 2025 right now. So for 2024, we'd look at how much new housing was built, and then we'd look ahead and make sure our population growth was below that for 2025. And that's how we would structure our immigration system. And the reason we'll do that is because on a supply and demand level, we're adding more housing than we are people. So we will finally come out of the housing crisis. It's just math, it's just economics, but we haven't tried it. We haven't slowed our population growth over the past 9.5 years. Trudeau increased it at one of the highest levels in Canadian history. So I just want voters to know how important it is, that policy, and it's going to be done the right way, and it's going to benefit everyone, including the people coming. I always say the worst thing you can do is bring someone to Canada and put them in a bad position. So if someone has come to Canada in the last several years, can you imagine coming several kids, 2, 3, 4 kids, and a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,500 or $3,000? And that's why we're seeing people leaving our country for the first time. We've been a wonderful place for people to come the world over, and now people are leaving for the first time. So for voters, key policy that separates the Conservative Party from the other options.
Paul, what are your thoughts on the pressure that's being put on cities to increase densification, primarily around SkyTrain?
Yeah, so it's funny that lends really into the previous question about population growth, right? So densifying around SkyTrain just makes sense, right? I don't think you'll find many people that argue that. So it's a good model we have, where when you have a SkyTrain station, we're going to increase density around there. Very efficient in terms of transportation, reduces carbon emissions. And it's funny, a lot of people don't realize for that community, it often actually increases quality of life. We're creating walkable communities, which is wonderful to get back to in some respects. So makes perfect sense, support it. The key though is the level. And so we've just had far too much population growth in Canada the past 10 years. And so a Conservative Party will bring our population growth back into balance. And so I think cities are going to be really happy under a Conservative government. The pressure that cities are under right now is immense, maybe like never before in Canadian history. There's been so much growth that their infrastructure is nowhere near keeping up, but they don't have the funding to just go build new infrastructure and upgrade everything. So cities are in a really tough spot, and that has come from bad federal government policy. Again, our party and myself, we are strongly pro-immigration, but the number of people per year is paramount. And the Liberal Party of Canada really made a massive policy mistake in this area. The cities are going to be very happy. We're going to change the growth projection of our country. And then we're also going to support cities more than they have been specifically. So that's infrastructure funding. So really excited. We've had a really difficult time in this regard, but with good policy from the Conservative Party, we're going to come out of that. So for cities and mayors and councillors, help is on the way. And I'm really excited to work with them. And I know we'll have a big difference over the next several years.
Okay. Transit and infrastructure, Paul, are critical in growing cities. What projects or initiatives are underway to improve the mobility in the Port Moody Coquitlam area you're riding?
Yeah, so it's neat. So I grew up in Port Moody, 80s and 90s, and the last 20 years I've been in Coquitlam. So I've seen the evolution and the change of the Tri-Cities from a true bedroom community, no SkyTrain, et cetera, to what it is today. So we've had amazing investments in public transportation, obviously largely the SkyTrain. We've also had a big increase in bus service over the years though. However, lately I've been talking to voters who are saying there's been some reductions in bus service. So I think we need to look at that and maybe go back to increasing bus service. With the SkyTrain running centrally through the riding, there is no excuse to not have the highest quality of public transportation system overall, serving our whole community. So I think we're doing great on that. We'll improve it somewhat, but overall we're in a great position. Where we're lagging behind is road infrastructure. So it's tough. I see there's always a debate, often online and community groups in Port Moody and Coquitlam, especially Port Moody, about congestion, traffic on St. John's and Clark and the region. And I don't know why people aren't offering more solutions. So there's some really easy solutions for that problem. So I think we need to get serious about traffic and congestion in the Tri-Cities and in the riding for two key reasons. Quality of life. No one wants to be sitting in their car. Right? Period, the end. And then number two is the environment. So you don't want cars on the road longer than they need to be. So it's far better to have traffic moving at a good pace. That vehicle will produce less carbon emissions on its route. So it's in everyone's best interest to improve traffic and congestion. So things like we need to look at making St. John's 3 lanes in both directions during rush hour. So much of St. John's already has that laneway. The irony is Burnaby and Hastings, where there's far more population, far more density, and we're earlier in the commute journey. Hastings flows much better than St. John's. Well, why? During rush hour, it's 3 lanes in both directions. So it's very simple. I'm not sure how it hasn't been done yet. Now, that's a city decision, but I really believe we need to look at that. We can go Murray and Clark to 2 lanes. We need to push for a new overpass connecting Murray and Clark. It's a huge bottleneck, that one kind of hairpin circle bridge, right? And then lastly, the bridge at Ioko. So we need to expand that to another lane. So 2 lanes the whole way are turning left onto Ioko, and 2 are through traffic, and it'll completely change the entire corridor. So it's totally possible. Our public infrastructure is great. We need to work on our roads, and I'm really excited to work with the province and the cities and encourage them and work collaboratively to do that.
Okay. What's your perspective on the impact of the past and potential future U.S. tariffs, such as those imposed during the Trump administration, on local industries and workers here in the Tri-Cities?
Yeah, so it's truly terrible the way Trump and the administration in the United States is treating Canada. I'm at a loss that they're treating us in this way, our oldest friend, so to speak, right, as countries. So it's causing real damage throughout the country. But yeah, like you said, in our riding, I've spoken to a number of constituents who either work for businesses or have a business that is directly impacted because they're highly involved in cross-border trade. So the impacts are very significant, twofold: current business, but also future. So I've talked to a lot of constituents where big projects and investment are now completely on hold, which is just terrible. We need these investments. We need to grow the economy. So the key point in this entire debate, though, so we have to push back against Trump and the tariffs, and then we have to take all the tariff revenue. Not a dollar of it can go into general revenue. It has to go directly to the workers and businesses that are most affected. So a conservative government, help is on the way. If you're a worker or a business in that industry that's being affected, we will help you specifically and significantly. And then overall, though, the key point, and I don't hear this get talked about quite enough, is so if the United States is not going to be as friendly as they have been, and our economies are not going to be as integrated anymore, what can we do? So yes, we need to increase international trade with other partners, so Europe, Asia, Middle East, etc. And we will do that, and it's a very important, crucial part of the plan. However, we have to take care of our domestic economy first. And our domestic economy has been neglected and put in handcuffs for many years, for too high a taxes and too high a regulation from the Liberals and the NDP. So the key thing with Trump, the tariffs, everything comes down to what party can revitalize our domestic economy. And I say this humbly, but I know we have the track record as a Conservative Party of Canada and the policies to do it. So our track record, so the 10 years prior to the Liberal and NDP, last 10 years, we had almost no inflation. We had great economic growth. We had great wage growth. We didn't have a housing and healthcare. Didn't have a crisis in healthcare. Didn't have a crisis in housing. It was a different country. And so we need to get back to that type of economy, and that is our track record as Conservatives. We will revitalize our domestic economy, and we will manage it so we don't have inflation. And things, to be very specific, so when I say we put the handcuffs on our economy, our regulations are much too high, and we've seen an unwillingness to develop our resources. And now you're seeing all sides of the political spectrum realize that we've been shooting ourselves in the foot the past number of years. But our party, as Conservatives, we've been banging that drum the whole time. And so we care deeply about the environment and balance, but we have to have a strong economy. Given what's happening internationally, if we do not focus on our domestic economy, our quality of life will go down and down and down. It is that simple. So maybe the best example that I share with voters that separates a vote for the Conservatives from the NDP or the Liberals is building an east-west pipeline. So we have needed an east-west pipeline desperately in Canada for decades, and it's been blocked by a number of groups. And the reason we need it is in Eastern Canada, we import almost all of the oil and gas we use from the Middle East and refine it there. In Western Canada, we export all of our oil and gas to the United States and then buy it back from them. So we're buying oil from the Middle East at a premium, buying it back for the United States at a premium. It's an incredibly unintelligent way to do business as a country, and it has massive negative effects on our economy. So, and this is the difference. So when the Liberals tried to build the last pipeline, the Coast Mountain Pipeline, which they did, Trans Mountain Pipeline, which they did get done. They bought the pipeline for about $4.5 billion. Then they took $30 billion of our money, your and I's money, taxpayer money, to finish the project. So a total cost was about $35 billion.
Give me 20 seconds on
Yeah,
this
no
because I have
problem.
more questions that are
you got it.
Tri-Cities related.
You
Go
got
ahead,
it.
wrap that question.
So,
Go ahead.
they spent $35 billion to build a pipeline that the private sector would have built for $10 or $15 billion. And so, say when Mark Carney talks about building an east-west pipeline, I don't know if they'll get it done, or if they do, it'll be this massive waste of money and time. It's a specific example of how the Conservative Party is different. We will get resource projects done. Our economy will be completely different in 4 years compared to a Liberal government.
Okay. How do you engage directly with the residents in Coquitlam and Port Moody to ensure their voices will be heard in Ottawa, Paul?
Yeah. So I'm fortunate. Everyone's different. I love people and I love events. So I get energy from going out and meeting our constituents. So I've been the candidate for 6 months since November. Before that, it was a 12-month nomination period. So ask my wife. I've been to almost every community event in the riding and the Tri-Cities for the last year and a half. So you will see a community presence like maybe we haven't had in a long time. I just absolutely love it. So it's first nature for me. So you'll see that visibility. I've already planned my schedule, very humbly, no assumptions. I have to be fortunate to be elected, but if elected on Fridays, every Friday, I will be in my office in either Port Moody or Coquitlam when we secure an office space, and I'll be there to meet with residents in person. So you won't be sending me an email and not hearing back for weeks or wondering where I am. Every Friday, you want to talk to Paul Lambert, you come into my office. I'll have appointments all day. We're going to run it like a doctor's office. So 10, 15 minutes in and out. There's 110,000 people in the riding. But yeah, so I'll be there in person. Now, if people don't want to leave their home, we can have a chat on the phone or via video call. But I will be accessible every week. I think that's a key thing that will separate me. And then lastly, so I'm a small business consultant. I'm going to run our office like a small business. So you will see the highest level of customer service. It'll be the exact opposite of what someone might be used to dealing with the government. It'll be quick, immediate, specific. We'll have a great team. Any needs people have with the federal government, we'll be there to help you in the constituency office.
A few more questions. We're on 6 more minutes to go,
No
Paul.
all right.
What federal resources or programs should Tri-City residents be more aware of or take advantage of? Can you share something like that with us, please?
Yeah. Probably one of our best policies that doesn't get talked about enough is what's called the Blue Seal program.
Okay.
So Pierre Poilievre and his team developed this a while ago, and we need to make sure we get the word out. So in the trades, everyone will be familiar with the phrase Red Seal, right? We have a Red Seal program to standardize training and testing in the trades. So right now in Canada, we have tens of thousands of amazing, high-quality, educated workers from around the world who've come to our country with accreditations from other countries that can't practice in Canada. So engineers, doctors, nurses, etc. So this is one of our best policies, and again, separates us from the other parties. We're going to bring in a Blue Seal test. So if you come from another country, you can challenge the requirements and practice in the field you are trained in. Now, we're going to make sure it's a good process. Make sure people are up to requirements, et cetera. But yeah, it is a huge policy. It could transform our country. We are underutilizing tens of thousands, several 100,000 people in the country that could be working, doctors, engineers, et cetera. So yeah, Blue Seal test flies below the radar. A wonderful program, and something we want all Canadians who've come in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years to our country who might not be practicing in what they did. Help is coming. We want to get you practicing what you're educated and skilled in.
Okay. Youth and civic engagement are crucial for a healthy democracy. How are you encouraging young people in the Tri-Cities to get involved?
Yeah. This is one of the coolest themes of our campaign. So I try to be an honest guy. For many years, not a lot of young people voted Conservative. That has changed. The support for the Conservative Party of Canada in voters under 30, we've never seen it this high. And our team reflects that. Like, I have dozens and dozens of volunteers in their late teens and 20s. And I think the reason is we've done a great job putting our message out on social media. And so we've reached those voters. The other thing, which is really unfortunate, I wish it wasn't the case, is that things are so difficult. When you're a young person, and I'm always careful how I say this, I want young people to be optimistic and look, but if you're a young person, 15, 20, right, and you're looking ahead, you say, wow, how am I going to afford a home, even a condo, right? How am I going to make life work in the Lower Mainland and in British Columbia and in Canada? And so, unfortunately, I think kids are realists more than we realize. And so they see the challenges our country has. The irony is some older demographics we're not doing as well as we used to with, but youngers we are. And so I would ask those older demographics to vote for your kids and your grandkids, because your kids and your grandkids support our conservative platform, because they know we need real change. We can't go another 4 years with the same party in the same path. So it's really fun. Our team you have no idea how much fun we have. They're making fun of me. We have an absolute blast, because when you have that much support at younger age groups, just a different vibe. So really excited to represent everyone in our riding, teens, 20s. And again, with the Conservative government, help is coming. We're going to have real change on housing, real change on cost of living, and real growth in the economy, so that young people are optimistic again, that they can earn a great income, find a great place to live, and start a family if they'd like. And right now, we do not have that situation regionally.
I have 2 minutes for my last
no
question.
problem.
Okay, Paul,
I'm a talker,
2
Cathy.
minutes, Paul. Looking ahead, what is your vision for the future of the Tri-Cities, your riding, and how will you work as an MP to contribute to that? I'll give you 2 minutes on that last question, and then we'll close.
No joke. I think that's the best question I've been asked the entire election. So the word would be balance. Okay, so we've had a ton of growth, and so we're at a bit of a crossroads in the Tri-Cities. Are we going to turn more and more into an urban area? But then some people would like to stay a lovely suburb. So I really think we can achieve both. So my vision for the Tri-Cities is balance and quality of life. So we need to reduce our population growth, but we need to make sure we build housing and density where it makes sense. And that will give us that balance of new neighborhoods for young people, older established neighborhoods as well. Key thing, and then quality of life. So a big part of this is infrastructure and population growth, traffic, right? So my vision is that in 4 years, we have much more balance in our community. So there's a lot of, say in Port Moody, they're very divided about the pace of growth. So I want to come to a reasonable consensus throughout the riding of our pace of growth. And I know we can do that if we're respectful and collaborative and strike that balance. And then I'm really excited for people to be driving around in 4 years or going to Eagle Ridge Hospital, and it's way better. Wait times are way down at Eagle Ridge Hospital. You can actually drive down St. John's, and it might seem like simple things, but these are the things that make up our day-to-day quality of life. So for me, it's balance and quality of life.
Great. Today you're listening to Paul Lambert, the Conservative candidate for the Port Moody Coquitlam area. Just a reminder to everyone watching, April 28th is voting day. Please do get out and vote. Thanks for watching with Tri-Cities Community TV. I'm Cathy Cena.